And good morning to you. Let me just jump right in this morning and then I can do throw little tidbits after I do the title and blurb. 2012, Spirituality and Laws of Man versus Natural Law. I appreciate all the prayers and kind comments following yesterday's video. While I'm still not pain-free, I do feel better. I also appreciate the comments suggesting that I deal with spiritual issues and not matters of law in regard, especially to freeman perspectives. I'm going to talk about this today and hopefully shed some light that will enable a better understanding of this dilemma in our modern world. Yeah, I just raised my leg and my spine still hurts. I actually have my legs elevated right now. Anyway, it still hurts to raise this arm up high. I have to really help it. I can't raise and comb my hair the normal way. Still, I have to use my left hand mostly, which is awkward for me because I usually do it with my right hand. But I did get sleep yesterday. I did sleep well last night. I had probably one of the better night's sleeps I've had in a long time. And I took about 3 or 4 naps at least yesterday, although some of them were less than a half an hour because of getting interrupted by phone calls. In any case, I am definitely on the mend. Now, a New York Times headline caught my eye this morning as I was going through my emails coming in from the meditation room. And the Dewey and Leboff New York law firm filed bankruptcy. It's the largest law firm collapse in United States history. I think that's significant in light of what I'm going to be talking about today. Now, there were lots of people, or let's put it this way, there were several people at least that indicated that getting a driver's license is a matter of law, and it's something that needs to be adhered to. And adhered to is a key word, because what we have in our world produced by the government is what are known as adhesion contracts. Those are contracts where you get a license to do something that is lawful, where you have to register something that is your property. And you need to understand what an adhesion contract is. It's a transfer of right from the individual to the state, so that the state right is the superior right to the individual right. That is the issue that we're dealing with here. And that is a very spiritual problem that we must face as human beings in our culture. The Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution acknowledged our natural right to be free. They placed the sovereignty of the individual where it belongs, at the top of the pyramid, not at the bottom of the pyramid. What has happened as the corporatization of government has taken place over the last 150 years or so is that everything has been inverted. Everything has been turned inside out and upside down in our world, so that the state becomes the guardian of the people, and the people need to get permission from the state to do things that are lawful to do. Now, I pointed out toward the end of the comments on Facebook yesterday for yesterday's video, I pointed out that I actually did, back in 2010, renew my driver's license. I renewed it on a conditional renewal. I sent him the money, $48 or whatever it was. I think that was what it was. And I said that though I wasn't required to have a driver's license because I did not use my vehicle for commercial purposes, I did not drive for commercial purposes, which what the legal definition of driving is. But to avoid conflict, I was going to renew it as a courtesy to the state. In other words, I changed the terms of the contract, maintaining control. I was the one that was holding the right to contract on my terms. The state didn't like that. They returned my driver's license application with the check that I sent. And here's the irony. The letter that came with the form of rejecting that and requesting a resubmission at a higher cost came from, I'm going to say Marcia Freeman, but I might be wrong on the first name, but I'm not wrong on the last name or the family name. I'm not wrong on that. It was Freeman. And so these people that are arguing with me, like Jez, that's saying Freeman end up in jail, it's because there's a clash of 2 points of view on the law. Common law, the basis of common law is the natural right of the individual to be free, to contract freely, to be involved in the contracts, and not be dictated to by an all-powerful state. That's the issue. And that's the dilemma that you and I are facing, and it is a very spiritual thing. It's not about non-spiritual stuff, because this affects the lives of everyone. What the adhesion contracts do is it gives the state the right to create a subhuman culture called police and military in many cases, where men and women sell their souls to the state and they take their orders from the state. And even though they're required by law to take an oath of office to support and defend the Constitution, the judges in Florida added, and the government to that. The Constitution is above the government. The government is subservient to the Constitution according to the Constitution. And that includes the Constitution of the state of Florida that I live in, and I'm sure all of the other 50 states in the United States. But it's not adhered to. What happens when you have adhesion contracts is you have the perception that the state holds all the cards. The people hold none. The people have no rights. That's why they could come in here and injure me physically and kidnap me and incarcerate me for 6 hours or 5 or 6 hours or whatever it was. The whole ordeal probably lasted approximately 6 hours till I was actually released. And even when I was released, I was still not free because I didn't have shoes on. I didn't have my wallet. I didn't have my vehicle. I didn't have the means of transporting myself freely. But I want you to understand the principle of this here is who holds the cards. Who holds the cards? And the police, from their point of view, think the state holds the cards, and their orders are superior to their oath. And they don't understand that what's happened is they've been given a license by criminals, by a criminal cabal of banksters that want to control the world through corporate law. They've been given the right to violate people's natural right to commit assault and battery on people, and in many cases even to kill people with impunity, without any repercussions coming upon them. Now, what is happening in the sovereignty movement is there are people like me that are trying to reverse the trend and put back natural law to where it belongs, so that the people are empowered and enriched instead of disempowered and stolen from in every aspect of our lives. This is the issue. And if you don't think that's spiritual, wake up. I mean, I'm serious. Wake up. Because it's a very spiritual and a very important issue. That's why I'm involved in the Republic, because the Republic wants to restore common law. Now, there are still people in the Republic that are still suffering from some part of the brainwashing of the old system. And that's to be expected because we've all been brainwashed, folks. Every one of us, me too. And coming free of the brainwashing and extricating ourselves from the morass of the matrix is an extremely and essentially important thing for us to do as a human family. We need to reestablish the right of the individual human being to be free and to make free decisions, to speak freely, to worship freely or not, to express themselves, to assemble, to address grievances, to right wrongs. It's essential that these rights be restored and guaranteed. Now, I'm not saying that in a republic you're not going to need some kind of identification, and we're not going to agree on something, but the point is, whose rights are being protected, the state's or the individual? The world that we live in, the matrix that we live in, it's the rights of the state that are superior, which is why they want you to register your child when it's born, because then the state owns the child. You say, that's ridiculous, Ron. No, it's not. It's why they do deeds the way they do them. It's why you register automobiles. It's why you have to get a license to do every little thing, because the state is in control when you create these adhesion contracts. And they are contracts. And as long as we, the humans, agree with them, we are doing what they ask in court. Do you waive your rights? And adhesion contracts are methods of waiving our rights and accepting privileges granted to us by the good graces of a sick and sadistic government agency or agencies. This is the crux of the issue that we're facing. It's not about should we take responsibility. Absolutely, we should take responsibility. But we need to reestablish the law that gives preeminence to the individual right to choose and to be free, not to be granted permission, because you don't have to have permission to do something that is lawful to do. And they say, well, Ron, you can always walk. And right now I am asking for rides, and I don't walk. I'm not going to walk to the store. It's too far for that, but it's a few miles. I mean, I could do it, but it's hot in Florida, and it will get hotter. We're going into the hottest part of our year, the summer. But in any case, the travel is a free right to travel by what? By the means of the time. They say, well, there were no cars back when the Constitution was written. Well, of course not. But there were conveyances. There were horses and means of conveyance. And whatever means of conveyance came online, that means of conveyance was a means of travel. And travel is a natural right. It's pursuing our happiness. It is a natural right. Now, should it be regulated with insurance and other things? Insurance and all the financial system, by the way, is a fraudulent game. It's a fraudulent game, again, of taking responsibility, of absolving people of personal responsibility. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't contract together to create a pool that covers our losses. But it doesn't need to be run by a corporation, because accidents happen. And when things go wrong, the community should get together and help the person or the people that are hurt and injured, and the people that may have injured them through no fault, but just an accident. Although I do believe that once we get out of this morass of losing our rights and of feeling alienated, that we won't have so many accidents, because we won't have so much stress. The stress is produced because we have subverted ourselves. We have given up our birthright, our natural right, to be human, to be free. And if you think this is not a spiritual issue, wake up, as I said earlier. Wake up. Because all spirituality hinges on freedom. Freedom is the gift that we have from the Creator. And we are all equal in that. The state is not more equal than us and does not have the right to commit crimes that they don't give us the right to commit. And that's exactly the situation that we have in our world today. The state is allowed to commit crimes against the people with impunity, crimes against humanity. These are the issues that we need to address in 2012, and we need to make correction for these things so that the people are once again restored to individual and personal sovereignty. I leave you with these thoughts to consider, especially those of you that were saying, Ron, it's the law. Statutory law is an adhesion contract, and it's not a contract that's agreed upon by the people. It's enforced through threat of violence, threat of loss of liberty, etc. Anyway, I leave you with these thoughts. Namaste, and thank you once again for listening. Have a great day.